Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am getting ready or I'm ready for a very special trip. It's my first time going into the US and I'm gonna do a little vlog. This is me at the airport, and as much as I wanted to pick up the camera and start vlogging, saying something like, "Hey guys, I'm at the airport about to board my flight," I noticed a lot of people staring at me, which felt a little awkward. So instead, I decided to just film and do a voiceover later, since this is my first travel vlog anyway, and the whole point of it was to showcase my first ever trip to the US. And as I try to kick my public vlogging anxiety out, here's a little something. Hello from LA. We are now headed to the most iconic LA location, so wait for that. This is the place, it's called Venice Canals. It is the most prettiest thing I've ever seen. I noticed many of the houses along the Venice Canals had these little decks floating in front of them, which is pretty iconic to the area. At first, I thought these might be a part of a commercial setup, like maybe you could just rent a boat and cruise through the canals, but turns out all of these are privately owned properties, and unfortunately, unless you know someone who lives in the area, it seems like there's no way to just rent a boat and explore the canals. At least that's what I found from my research. Duck spotted. Oh my god! Let's go closer. Next stop was Santa Monica Pier. I remember as a kid playing Pokemon Go, and Santa Monica was the spot to find those rare Pokemons like Mew and Mewtwo. It was so legendary, people were even using GPS spoofing just to virtually travel here and catch them, so naturally it had to be a part of my itinerary. That Santa Monica Pier, the stunning views of the Pacific and the Malibu beach, the smell of funnel cakes and the ocean breeze hitting just right. Everywhere you look, there's something happening. Food stalls, street performers. Honestly, it's a bit surreal being here, especially after seeing it in so many movies. It's got that classic California vibe where everything just feels laid back but also buzzing with life. And that's the Ferris wheel in its all glory. There I was on the Ferris wheel. The line to get up here wasn't as bad, maybe like 15 minutes max. The view up here, though, was amazing. You can see the entire pier stretching out below. The beach and the ocean just goes on forever. You can also see Malibu from up here and almost the entire city of LA. I wish I was there for here for longer, because I paid around $15 to $20, but I was there for like less than 10 minutes. But if you ever come to Santa Monica, you don't want to miss this. It's definitely worth it. Let's talk about the most disappointing evening of the trip, which is Malibu Lagoon State Beach. I originally planned to visit Zuma Beach after looking at the pictures online, but somehow I messed up the directions and ended up at Malibu Lagoon State Beach instead. I realized my mistake as soon as I got there, but by then it was too late to head to Zuma Beach. My plan was to save the beach for the end of day one so I could take a shower and wrap up my day, but Malibu Lagoon Beach was so dirty and poorly maintained that I couldn't even touch the water. It also had no real views to enjoy, so if I were to plan a trip to LA again, I would skip this beach. Instead, I would end my day at Zuma Beach or Point Dume if I wanted to go to Malibu beaches. You should, if you are planning a trip to LA, you should definitely add Venice Canals and Venice Beach for the end of day one, and Santa Monica Pier and Zuma Beach for the end of day two. Keep in mind though, all the beaches, including Zuma, Venice, and Malibu, were free to visit, but you have to pay for parking, and parking in LA can be pretty expensive. We paid around $100 in parking for day one, but that's including Venice Canals and Santa Monica Pier as well. It's now day two, and I realized I totally forgot to mention where I stayed on day one. I spent the night at this hotel called Eagle Rock in Pasadena. It was around $200 for the night. The place was really nice. They had complimentary breakfast and even a pool. But I was only there for less than 15 hours, so I didn't really get the full experience. Still, it was a good stay overall, no complaints here. Today, we're headed to Vegas, the second city on our list. The plan was to enjoy LA on day one and spend the morning of day two traveling from LA to Vegas so we could fully experience Vegas in the evening. Vegas is more of a nighttime destination with not much to do in the morning, so it made perfect sense to travel during the day. The drive felt like a mini road trip. It took us about, like, say, 5, 6 hours, and I was never bored. There was always something interesting to see along the way. The landscape changed every half an hour, and we came across around 5 to 6 small towns, and each town we passed through had its own unique vibe. The entire journey felt like a part of the adventure. I spent the time listening to music, sneaking in a few much needed mini naps, and soaking in the views. And around 5 to 6 hours, like after 5, 6 hours, we were in Vegas. So this is Vegas, and this is the hotel that we are staying in. It's called Circus. I was in Vegas for 2 evenings, and this was the first one. The plan was to walk around and experience Vegas at night. Honestly, just walking around was such a huge experience. It was super bright, the streets were packed with tourists. I mean, I was there on a Monday, so I can imagine how it must be on the weekends. There were speakers lining the streets playing the same music as you walked along, and as someone who loves music, I thought this was really fascinating. I mean, such a good idea to add this little touch. Not sure if that's a Vegas thing or a common thing in the US. Let me know in the comment section if you have ever spotted this outside of Vegas. Other than that, we also visited a few casinos, but I was not allowed to take any pictures inside, which was a bit of a bummer because casinos are such a huge part of the Vegas vibe, and I couldn't vlog inside. After that, we headed to our next stop, which was honestly the most zen place ever and literally teleported us outside of the US. Welcome to the Grand Canal shops right inside Venetian in Las Vegas. This is where Little Italy comes to life. It's amazing how they've created a replica of Venice right here in Vegas. And as you stroll through, you'll find everything from high end fashion brands to these delightful little boutiques. But let's get to the showstopper of the evening and the reason why I was here at Venetian, the gondola rides. It's such a magical experience, especially with the singing gondoliers serenading you. The pricing is $39 per person and $156 for a private ride. I also paid $20 in tips and $40 for a photographer and the photographs itself. The views from the gondola were breathtaking. It felt like I was teleported to Venice from Vegas for about 10 minutes. If you're in Vegas, you have to check this place out. Trust me, you won't regret it.
With the statues on top,
Yeah.
that is supposed to be the library that stands on the Plaza of Venice. And
Oh.
back here is the bell tower of Venice, just as you would see it over there.
And that's a wrap for day two. I spent the rest of the night at a hotel called Circus, where I paid around $200 for 2 nights. Stay tuned for part two, where I'll reveal the most incredible location of the entire trip and also share the total expenses for the whole trip. So, thanks for watching this one. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And see you in the next one. Bye.